The brown water swallowed the golden retriever before anyone could scream. The Mara River had turned into a furious monster, uprooting trees and dragging everything in its path. The torrential rains from the previous night had swollen the river beyond any known limit, turning the once peaceful bank into a deadly trap. The dog fought the current in desperation. Its golden paws thrashed frantically in the muddy water, but the force of the river was relentless. With every second, it was pulled farther from the bank, its barks muffled by the deafening roar of the flood. On the opposite bank, photographer Daniel Torres gripped his camera with trembling hands. He had been documenting the effects of the storm when he saw the animal being carried away. His heart raced. There was nothing he could do. The distance was too great, the current too violent. But then something impossible happened. A baby hippopotamus emerged from the turbulent waters. It was only 8 months old, still small by the standards of its species, but its nearly 300 kilograms of muscle and determination cut through the river like a living stone. The baby hippo swam straight toward the drowning dog. Daniel could hardly believe what he was seeing through the lens. Hippos were known for their territorial aggression, not for acts of compassion between species. It defied everything he had learned about animal behavior. The calf reached the golden in a matter of seconds. With movements surprisingly gentle for an animal of its size, it positioned itself beneath the exhausted dog. The scene that followed would leave Daniel speechless for days. The hippo lifted its snout, creating a living platform for the animal struggling for air. The golden, trembling and panting, instinctively clung to the calf's broad back. Together, they began to swim against the murderous current. If you are enjoying this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Leave a comment telling us what you thought and which city or country you are watching from. Your participation keeps these stories alive. But what Daniel still didn't know was that this rescue was only the beginning of something much bigger. The current had no intention of releasing its prey easily. Violent whirlpools spun around the baby hippopotamus and the golden retriever, pulling them downward with brutal force. For every meter gained toward the bank, the river pushed them 2 meters back. The baby hippo, whom Daniel would later discover was named Baiko, showed extraordinary endurance. His short, sturdy legs worked like relentless propellers beneath the surface. The dog remained clinging to the calf's back, its brown eyes wide with a mix of terror and hope. Daniel filmed everything, his hands shaking so much that he had to brace the camera against a rock. Around him, other animals watched from the safety of the bank. A hippopotamus matriarch, probably Biko's mother, grunted loudly in the shallow water. Why wasn't she helping her own calf? The answer came unexpectedly when Daniel noticed her behavior. The adult female was not standing still. She was moving strategically, creating waves that guided the calf toward a calmer bend in the river. She was helping, but from a distance, respecting little Biko's determination. The fight against the current lasted 14 endless minutes. The sun was already sinking on the horizon when the calf finally touched the muddy bottom near the bank. The golden retriever slipped off his back and staggered onto solid ground, collapsing from exhaustion. Biko could have returned immediately to the safety of his family. But that was not what happened. The baby hippopotamus dragged his heavy body out of the water and lay down beside the trembling dog. He began to gently nudge him with his snout, as if checking whether he was still breathing. The golden weakly lifted his head and licked Biko's wet face. Daniel felt hot tears stream down his face. This was not instinct. It was choice. It was pure compassion. But while the photographer silently celebrated the miracle before his eyes, he did not notice the pair of eyes watching from the dense vegetation. Something had witnessed everything. And that presence would completely change the course of the story. The following days brought a discovery that left Daniel completely confused. The golden retriever did not return to the nearby village. He stayed with Biko on the riverbank, and most surprising of all, the hippopotamus family accepted the dog as part of the group. Daniel set up camp at a safe distance, documenting every moment of this impossible bond. The dog, whom he named Leo because of his golden mane, began to follow Biko everywhere. When the hippopotamus family entered the water to cool off, Leo waited on the bank, barking anxiously until his savior returned. But there was something strange happening that Daniel could not explain. Every morning, he found human footprints around his camp. Someone was watching. And worse, when he checked his nighttime footage, he saw figures moving among the trees. One night, the truth emerged from the shadows. A tall man, wearing worn clothes and with a hard stare, appeared at the camp. He held a thick rope and spoke a local dialect that Daniel barely understood. Through gestures and a few words in English, the photographer grasped the terrible situation. Leo was not a lost dog. He had an owner. And that man wanted him back. Daniel felt his blood run cold. The man showed no affection for the animal. His rough hands and the rope revealed intentions that had nothing to do with love. Leo had run away for a reason. For 3 days, Daniel faced a crushing moral dilemma. Technically, he should return the dog to its owner. But his heart screamed that handing Leo over would condemn him to something terrible. He watched the golden retriever playing with Baiko, free and happy for the first time, perhaps in his life. The decision came when Daniel witnessed something extraordinary. Baiko began to teach Leo how to swim in the shallow parts of the river. The baby hippopotamus dove and surfaced repeatedly, encouraging the dog to follow him. And Leo, overcoming his recent trauma, entered the water voluntarily. At that moment, Daniel knew exactly what he needed to do. And his choice would challenge everything he believed to be right. In the early hours of the 4th day, the man returned with reinforcements. 3 other men accompanied him, all armed with nets and poles. Daniel woke to the sounds of Leo's desperate barking and the furious grunts of the hippopotamuses. Chaos erupted on the riverbank. The men tried to surround Leo, but Baiko positioned himself between them and the dog. The baby hippopotamus, usually gentle and playful, bared his enormous teeth and charged at the intruders with shocking aggression. Baiko's mother emerged from the water like a living tank, her more than 1,500 kilos making the ground tremble. Daniel ran toward the confrontation, his camera forgotten for the first time. He shouted for the men to back away, but Leo's owner was blinded by rage. He advanced with the net open, determined to capture the dog. That was when the second twist happened, one that no one expected. Leo did not run behind Baiko. The golden retriever planted his paws in the sand and growled for the first time since Daniel had known him. It was not the growl of a frightened dog. It was the sound of an animal that had finally found something worth fighting for. The owner hesitated, surprised. In that split second, Daniel stepped between the men and the animals. With a firm voice, he made a proposal that would change everything. He offered to buy Leo. The amount he mentioned was absurd for that region, more money than the man would see in years. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of the river. The owner looked at the dog he had mistreated for so long, then at the money Daniel held out. Greed defeated pride. He snatched the bills from the photographer's hand and disappeared with his accomplices into the darkness. Daniel fell to his knees in the sand, shaking. He had just spent all his savings from 5 years. He had no idea how he would pay for his flight back home. But when Leo ran to him and licked his face, and Baiko approached, gently touching him with his snout, Daniel knew he had made the only possible choice. Freedom has a price. And that morning, he paid in dollars for what was worth gold. 3 months later, Daniel was still living on the banks of the Mara River. His original photography project had been abandoned, replaced by something much greater, documenting the impossible friendship between Baiko and Leo. The images he captured began to circulate around the world. Newspapers, scientific journals, and television programs wanted the story. But Daniel refused all offers that required removing Leo from his wild home. The dog had chosen where he belonged. Leo developed skills that no golden retriever had ever possessed. He swam like an otter, warned the hippopotamus family about crocodiles, and even learned to communicate through specific growls and barks that Baiko seemed to understand perfectly. The final revelation came when a biologist from the university visited Daniel's camp. She brought surprising news. Baiko was not an ordinary calf. He had been born prematurely, initially rejected by his mother for being too small. The matriarch only accepted him after he survived alone for 2 days on the riverbanks. Baiko knew loneliness. He knew abandonment. And when he saw Leo being dragged by the current, he did not see just a drowning dog. He saw himself. Daniel finally understood. That rescue had never been about saving an animal of a different species. It was about one survivor recognizing another. About empathy born from shared pain. Daniel's photographs eventually earned international awards and enough money to recover everything he had lost. But he chose to invest in protecting that stretch of the river, ensuring that Baiko, Leo, and the hippopotamus family could live without threats. Today, tourists from all over the world visit the Mara Reserve to see the inseparable pair. Leo is no longer young, his golden fur now streaked with white. Baiko grew and became one of the largest hippopotamuses in the region. But every afternoon, without fail, they meet at the same bend in the river where their lives first crossed. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what moved you most in this incredible journey. Because in the end, it doesn't matter our species, origin, or size. What truly makes us great is the courage to reach out when someone is drowning.